Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. Our mission is to see a world well led. And our strategy to get there? To empower leaders like you to lead every day. So let's get to work.
If you're trying to win in any endeavor, we know the fundamentals matter. In football, blocking and tackling. If you're a musician trying to play masterpieces, it starts with the scales. We think there are fundamentals in the family as well. We've been looking at fundamental number one the last couple days here on the podcast, love first. And today I'm going to answer a very important question when it comes to this fundamental. Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. I'm Randy Gravitt.
And I'm Mark Miller.
And Mark, I'm excited about the book coming out just in a couple of weeks. Winning Begins at Home. Got a new one here to help us accelerate our success, which is one of the things we think is really important for any leader who's listening. But we've been looking at this fundamental, and I've had people ask me, how do you know if you're loving first? Like we said, love is a verb, not just a noun. It is a noun, but it's so much more than that. It's something we have to demonstrate. And people have been asking me, how do you know when you're loving first? And here's my answer for them. I think it's when the people who know you the best actually love you the most. I think that's such a powerful way to live your life. You asked a couple days ago, how do we picture out what we want down the road, motive kind of stuff? What do we want? Even go back to our define what. That's what I want. I want the people who know me the best to say, he loves me the most, or they love me the most. You know, it's like, it's so easy for us to know people really well and then they respect us the least. I know a bunch of leaders are like, man, people who I know the best, there's just a gap there. And that's not what we want.
So why does that gap exist?
I think it goes back to some of the things we've been talking about is there's just a lack of intentionality, a lack of thoughtfulness that goes into this. What does it mean to build a great family? Mm-hmm. I think we know how to build a great company, or we think about that and we have a vision for that. But if we don't really have a lot of thought for it at home, we can take people for granted. We can assume negative intentions. Remember a couple of days ago, we can not give people the benefit of the doubt. We can always point things out when they're not correct.
Right.
And we're constantly correcting everybody. We're harsh. I mean, some of those things we talked about even yesterday. And I think when we do that, we're not as easy to love when we get angry. I mean, whatever our deal is. I mean, we all probably have different areas that we're needing to work on.
Yeah.
But I think we can really it can be a vicious cycle, and then we can be one way in public, and then you get another way in private, and the people in private are like, which really are the people who matter the most in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not that the people at work don't matter, but this is your family. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you want there to be tremendous love there, and man, I think sometimes it just doesn't happen, and we can even see families that are not integrated in the correct way, and what's the opposite of that? They disintegrate, they blow apart, and it usually happens because we're not as purposeful as we need to be. We don't get a lot of thought.
There's a drift.
Yeah.
And we say this about leaders, we say it about teams, we say it about organizations, that none of those drift to greatness. Well, the same principle applies outside of work. Your home, your family.
No family drifts to greatness.
Your friends, your relationships, you're not going to drift to a better place.
Yeah.
If you're going to go there, you're going to have to lead.
Exactly. And I think it does go back a little bit, that whole drift versus focus mindset. I think some of it, and I want to sort of go down this little side road here. People ask me all the time, how do you balance work and home? And I'll for me, and I'll let you speak to this as well, I'm not sure you do. I don't know that the goal is to balance work and home. I mean, think about it. For you, this is true as well. You're at work a lot more than you're at home. I mean, during waking hours.
During waking
you
hours.
sleep at home. But,
Sure.
But there are very few hours a day that you have at home, and then you end up at work several hours a week, And as you begin to think about it like that, like I don't know that the goal is to have equal amounts of time.
Balance connotes equal
Like
division.
remember the old seesaa when we were kids, and
there are more
thing.
things to balance than
balanced.
Work and home. Then there's health and fitness and faith
stuff.
and finances, and it's actually a math problem.
That's
you
exactly
can't
right.
balance all those things.
They don't balance, and so I think two things I'd say here. One is we have to live in that tension of I'm only going to have so much time with these people who I would say matter most, to use our language. And so it's going to be really important that I'm there when I'm there. that I'm focused when I'm there, that I'm intentional when I'm there. If I'm not, I can be checked out. And what happens for me, if I'm not careful, is I'm thinking about work while I'm not at work.
Right.
Or I'm thinking about some other area while I'm not at, whatever. I mean, I'm distracted by this other thing, and now I end up forfeiting the thing that I'm trying to do. You ever experience that?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, the tension is real. We have a lot of demands on us as leaders, as humans, as
Yeah.
members of families, but I think it requires the intentionality. I think that may be the undercurrent from what we've talked about now for several episodes. Some personal discipline, some systems and processes and habits that we've got to put in place. And I know we're going to unpack some of those going forward.
Yeah.
But hope is not a strategy.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a topic that leaders need to give more attention to.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful you wrote the book. I think this is going to be helpful.
Well, and I think there's thank you. But I think there are places where you can have some level of focus, maybe a shift like we've been talking about. And, you get to pick what that is. If you choose to have a family dinner where everybody's going to sit together and that's going to be device free. I mean, I know some people are like, we're going to make sure our devices are not, or our technology's not going to come to the table. I go all the time and I'll see what I think might be a family sitting together, a couple of parents and some kids. And it's crazy how many times you see 4 people at a table, 5 people at a table, and they all have a phone out, and they're with each other, but they're not really with each other unless they're texting each other. I don't know, which may be happening too across the table. But it's just, I think some of this we do to ourselves, and then we complain that we don't have the family.
Well, the good news though is if we do it to ourselves, we can undo it. That's the good news.
We can undo it.
That's the good news.
We can undo it. And so here's my question for you today as we sort of land this first fundamental. What would you have to do to live your life in such a way that the people who know you the best love you the most? You get to choose what that is. And you're going to have, maybe it's your dinner, maybe it's the way you talk to them. I mean, is there a set? I know a couple, they have a coffee date every day. They spend 15 minutes together having coffee, catching up on. You get to decide what that is, but if you don't give some intentional thought and focus to what kind of family you want, there's a good chance you're going to just drift to some family that you don't want. And truthfully, that's where regret lies. There's actually, I believe, legacy on the line. You have a chance to really live in such a way that the people who know you the best love you the most, and they might even begin to like you, which would be really cool. All right, remember, the best leaders lead every day.